Okay, so I hope I am audible and visible clearly. Please confirm on the chat box. I hope I am audible and visible clearly. Please confirm on the chat box. Okay, so I hope I am audible and visible clearly. Please confirm on the chat box. Amazing. Yes, I feel I am audible and visible clearly. So, hello my dear future auditors. Hope you all are doing really well. I am CA Supreet Agrawal, your faculty for ACCA AA subject. My friends, first of all, I really welcome you all to this very special session. And why I am saying that this is a very special session, because mostly this is the first day that you are being welcomed into the world of auditing. My friends, I am sure that a lot of you, when you will be qualifying as a professional, you will be working in the auditing domain, and this is your officially first day of knowing the world of auditing. So I welcome you all very dearly. Okay, so now let me tell you that when I entered the world of auditing, I still remember that day, and whenever the date comes, I always think that it's been so many years that I've been into the world of auditing, and it doesn't stop amazing me even now, because there are so many things to know about the auditing. Okay, so today is officially our first lecture of ACCA AA syllabus. My friends, whenever we talk about ACCA AA syllabus, this is going to be really interesting. And why do I say that? Because when we talk about the ACCA AA syllabus, it does not just have the standards, but it has the practical applications also. It has the mix of MCQs as well as case studies also, and that makes it a very beautiful subject. So I welcome you all to this first session. Okay, so I can see that there are multiple people. Okay, so very good evening everybody. Okay, so now before starting with this thing, I would like to remind all of you that we have discussed in the orientation session that before we start any of our audit session, we have to keep this thing in our mind that audit is the most practical subject written in the most theoretical manner. So whenever we discuss about anything related to audit, what we need to think in mind is that this is a very practical thing. We need to take the real life examples, and whenever you encounter any situation where there is a question in your mind that how auditing would look at this scenario, you are required to ask that to me if you do not already know the answer. Okay, and I would be happy to answer you that in this particular scenario, what would the auditing standard suggest us, how we would be dealing with this situation in the context of audit. Okay, but before we officially start our AA syllabus, don't you think it would be a good idea to discuss certain terminologies that we use in audit? Because this is very important for us to understand that audit runs on the terminologies. You cannot play with the terminologies here. That is, you need to understand all of the terminologies in a very efficient way, and you need to learn them by heart so that you can understand everything that is written in the context. Okay, so now before starting this officially, let us introduce ourselves to some of the key terminologies that we are going to understand in audit and that we are going to encounter multiple times in AA syllabus. Okay, so first thing, the name of the syllabus or the subject is audit and assurance. So first thing that we need to learn by heart is that how audit and assurance are similar and different to each other. Okay, then we will be going towards certain basic terminologies, as in what are ISs, what are FS, what are audit procedures, what are certain assertions, what are certain risks, and let me show you how we will be discussing about it. So we will be discussing about international standards on auditing, we will be discussing about certain audit procedures, we will be discussing about certain assertions in detail, and then we will be doing a good discussion on what are risks, what are the types of risk, what is an audit risk. Okay, and let me tell you this, that this discussion of audit risk is going to be very efficient, it's going to be very nice to you, and it is going to be very amazing for you. Okay, this is something that you will be learning for the first time. Okay, now after that we will have to summarize our discussion into the basic audit process. That is, what is the basic audit process? Because once you have a deep dive into the audit, you should already have this thing in mind that how you are going to summarize it, or how is this particular thing related to my overall journey. Okay, so that is why what we will be doing in today's session is that we will be understanding about the basic audit process, that is how the audit is conducted in a relevant scenario from starting to the end, which is reporting. Okay, and then we will be discussing about certain terms, which includes material misstatement, which includes types of audit evidences, which includes professional skepticism, and so on. Okay, so this is going to be a very interesting discussion for all of you. Now let's first discuss about this term called as audit. Because you all might have heard this term already, that what is audit. Okay, so let me explain it to you technically. Now, when I say technically, what do I mean by it? When I say technically, what do I mean by it? Okay, so audit is an independent examination. Now, you do not just need to learn, you need to understand it. Okay, so an independent examination, first of all, independent examination of financial statements to provide an opinion on whether they present a true and fair view. Let's try to break it down. Okay, let's try to break it down. When I say independent, what do I mean by it? So when I say independent, this means that the opinion that I'm talking about, the examination that I'm talking about would be done by independent parties. Now, when I say independent parties, what do I mean? So when I say independent parties, I mean to say that the people who are directly or indirectly not related to the company, this examination would be done by them. We will be getting to know about it a little later also when we will be discussing about chapter number 4, professional ethics. We will be discussing about that what could be considered as depending on an organization or being related to an organization, and in what scenarios you cannot accept the audit. Okay, so an independent examination as in evaluation against certain criteria. Okay, so you will be evaluating financial statements against certain criteria. Now these criteria are assertions which we are going to cover little later today only. Okay, now of financial statements. Now what are financial statements? Although you might have learned about it in FR, but what are financial statements in general? Can you answer me on the chat box? What are financial statements? Generally speaking, what are financial statements? Can you answer me on the chat box? I can see your chats. Okay, so yes, please tell me, what are financial statements? What does it include? It includes 5 things, right? So what are those 5 things? Can you tell me what are those 5 things? Yes, I can see your chats. Yes. Okay, so financial statement includes a statement of position. Okay, a statement of position, which is generally called as balance sheet. Okay, when I say BS, it means balance sheet, and I would be writing BS going forward. Okay, now a statement of performance is there. A statement of performance that you might have remembered as either income statement or a statement of profit or loss, right? So I would be writing income statement or statement of profit or loss. I would be writing income statement, IS. Then third thing is cash flow statement. Which we will be generally calling it as CFS. Okay, when I say CFS, do not consider consolidated financial statements. Please read it as cash flow statement unless otherwise is stated. Okay, then there is okay, balance sheet, P&L, CFS, equity. Okay, notes. That's amazing. SOFP. Okay, notes to accounts, cash flow. That's amazing. So the last one is the second last one is SOCI. I would call it as SOCI. Okay, what is SOCI? Statement of changes in equity. SOCI. Okay, now the last one is notes. But please remember that we would be calling it as notes to FS, not notes to accounts. Okay, we will be calling it as notes to FS. So this would be the term that we would be using. For this we would be using balance sheet. For this we would be using income statement. For cash flow statement we would be using CFS. For SOCI we would be using SOCI, and for notes to FS we will be using notes to FS. That is how we are going to spell it going forward. And whenever I say financial statements, you should by default remind yourself about these 5 things. Okay, so these are the financial statements. An independent examination of financial statements to provide an opinion. Now what is the meaning of this word opinion? So for my Hindi audiences, we generally call it as Rai, correct? For other audiences, I would say that opinion means your advice, your conclusion. Okay, conclusion would be a better word here. When I say conclusion, it would be a better word here. Okay, conclusion. Now, please try to understand one thing here, that whenever we as auditors issue, what we issue an opinion. We do not draw any other thing. We issue an opinion in the context of audit and assurance engagements. Okay, on whether they present a true and fair view. Now both of these terms have different meanings. Okay, However, we would be covering it today only in the context of a chapter number 1. So when we would be studying chapter number 1 today, there is a separate discussion on what true and fair view means. So we will be covering over there. Okay, but generally speaking, true means honest, fair means I would say in the given scenario, appropriate in the given scenario. Okay, you might have heard of substance over form, right? So that kind of appropriate in the given scenario. Okay, looking at the economic efficiency over the legal format, appropriate in the given scenario. Now please try to understand here that the definition of audit is with full of interpretation. So an independent examination of financial statements to provide an opinion on whether the financial statements present a true and fair view. Although the meaning of the words would be changing when we would be studying it technically, but as of now I have just explained you in a little easy language. Okay, now let's come to assurance. Now this becomes really important. Why? Because I have seen that students